This is the special meeting for the Guthrie Parks Board, Thursday, August 14th, 2014. I'm going to call it to order. Can we have a roll call? When I say your name, please state if you are present. Jean Lucina.
Here.
Ben Coffin.
Here.
Mary Beth Craven.
Present.
Sherry French.
Here.
All right. Great. Okay. And Zach Lorio. Here. Yes, and we have quorum, so we're in good shape. All right. Okay, so I guess the topic for discussion this evening is action on Liberty Lake duck hunting for the 2014 season. Officer Gibbs, if you would like to come forward and give us information.
Absolutely. Welcome, everybody, Parks Board members. Very good to be here again on this evening. I'd like to bring everybody up to speed on duck hunting at Liberty Lake just to give some background, since we have some new members and things, and I think that would be beneficial. Duck hunting and they will definitely be able, I think, to agree with this at the City of Guthrie. But duck hunting has been something at Liberty Lake that has been an extremely close thing for a lot of families. It's been a sport that you're able to go to, bring your son or your grandchildren, be able to teach them how to shoot, and also just to be able to go out with friends and family members, drink some coffee in the morning, watch the sun come up on a very beautiful, beautiful piece of property, and so let me just say it's more than a sport or a pastime, but it goes rather deeply in our community with a certain group of people, and very passionate about that. And so for more than 30 years, duck hunting was at Liberty Lake, used. It was done very well for a long time. There was a few years that there were a couple of people that caused some problems. And because of that, those problems were extreme enough that duck hunting was curtailed for a number of years. Those problems included one blind shooting at the other blind and so on and so forth. They just decided that, and again, that was 1 in a million as you get people that would do something like that, okay? So at any rate, but it was bad enough that they went ahead and curtailed it for a while. There were some groups that came up and said, listen, we'd like to start this again. Let's do this over. So the city was really kind of scrambled. We put some things together. We had our first duck blind drawing. It was successful. We had a good year. We learned from that year that there were rules that needed to be changed and things that we were doing that weren't allowing the hunters really the freedom that they needed to be able to do the things they wanted to do. So we changed those rules. The next year we came in and we voted again, and again it passed. It passed by a slim margin. The reason why it was beginning to pass by a slim margin is that the city now has a master plan for Liberty Lake that will eventually phase out duck hunting. That the master plan itself that was established by Jacobs, let's see here, Jacobs Engineering had included quite a few things through there, and because of that, it was really aimed toward making it a premier vacation, staycation location for central Oklahoma. Bathrooms, RV parks, things like that around there that we'd have year-round camping, horseback riding, trails, and for walking, hiking, bicycling, and equestrian facilities that eventually the equestrian facilities especially would not be able to handle having the report of rifles going off. I'm sorry, shotguns, excuse me. So that was basically, it was like, hey, until that point in time, we're going to allow duck hunting because it's important. It's important to that group of people in our population that wants to come out and do that. So each year, it's my job to look at everything as a whole and to make a recommendation to the Parks Board as to whether or not we should allow duck hunting for this particular season. The things that I consider when I do that is I look at One is all the reasons why we should, and then what we have going on and where we're building towards that master plan, and when do those things tip and outweigh each other. So to this year, based on what it is that we have, it has to be my grudging recommendation that we do not allow duck hunting. And it's for the following reasons, and I've made those very plain on this document, so I'd like to just go ahead and read those to you, be the quickest, and I'll answer any questions. The revenue earned from duck hunting will not significantly offset the revenue from day use boating and camping, especially when considering the overtime expense for patrolling during that time period. Now, let me say this. Duck hunting does not go all day. We have 6 o'clock a.m. until noon. So that is the only time that the duck hunters will be out there and hunting on the lake. So on the outside, it looks like, well, hey, people can come and fish after noon. People can come and camp after that time. People can come out after that time. And how many people really come out in the winter anyway? Those questions, I tried to answer for you just a little bit ago with the revenue. We are building a momentum that is, as far as campings and annual day use, to the point now where we had so many calls last year that were saying, I can't go out and fish from 6 a.m. to noon this entire time, or I can't go out and camp, which people camp when it's cold, but I can't go out and do those things even though I have an annual pass. How is that fair if I buy an annual fishing pass or a day use pass and I can't go out and ride my horse, I can't go out and fish? And I said, listen, we're sharing right now, sharing like we're doing the best that we can and that kind of thing. So that was, now as far as the revenue was concerned, which is what I was talking about, the overtime expense for patrolling, the reason why I brought that up is that greater patrolling is going to be necessary this year because we had several incidents of cut fencing, rules violation, failure to pick up some blind material in a timely fashion, and even an unauthorized road which somebody bulldozed down, which I don't think any of these guys were involved in it, but somebody bulldozed a road down to the edge on the west side of the lake to get to their blind more efficiently, which again, the city doesn't, condone bringing a dozer out and dozing down the trees. So let me just go on, I guess, with these. A significant accounting and time burden is added to the city treasurer's office to handle the drawing and the revenue stream that comes in. To let you know, there's 12 blind locations out there, which will bring in $400 per blind, total of $4,800. And again, that revenue stream is generally earmarked for overtime budget for patrolling the lake because we have to take officers off of their patrol shift, outside of their patrol shift, and then pay them overtime to do it. So generally that money is earmarked. Yes, ma'am.
How long is duck season? When does it begin? When does it end?
Yeah.
That's good. The numbers last year, the dates were October 26th to January the 19th, I believe, and that's actually duck. There are other things that we can do as other waterfowl that we can allow that can extend the season a bit. But there's a break from December 1st to December 14th. And again, I'm talking about 2013-14 dates, but these will be close. That break cuts the season down by 2 weeks, obviously, but we still can't allow camping during that time because what will happen is that the word will get out that camping is up and going again, and then we'll shut it down again about the time that the word gets out, and then people will show up to camp and not be able to do so, or I'll have to move them off at 5 o'clock in the morning, that kind of thing. So we generally consider it, even though there's that 2-week break in December, we generally consider it from the end of October to mid-January is our duck hunting season. Then just to be quick so that I can get your questions, there will be several ongoing construction projects as well during the time period in close proximity to several of the blind locations. We are now, which I'm the next Parks Board meeting, it's my plan to bring you guys videos and photos of the Liberty Lake House. We have now, as of Labor Day, the retail store should be open. We'll have a lake attendant in the house. The roads are now in place. The fencing is now up predominantly. We have a few things to finish on the outside of the house. The new garage is there, the gravel's in, the new parking lots, and we even have mostly gravelled through the new camping area, which we will be able to, and I just have to brag on Streets. They've done an incredible job with what they've done out there. It's amazing. We're actually ahead of schedule in our phases for this planned implementation of the new park. So not to talk specifically about that, I'll fill you more in on that on the next time. But because of those construction projects, our bathrooms and lagoons will start in mid-October, mid to the end of October. We will start construction on them at that point in time. And so we'll have heavy equipment running for a significant amount of time out there. We're talking about probably over a month span on and off. And again, most of the time when we get heavy equipment out there, we start in the morning and we don't get done until it's time to go home and the equipment stays there, so on and so forth. And we again start in the morning early again. So the next thing is that, let's see here, I'm sorry, I'm getting down to where I am. Closing the park, and I've talked about that, has a greater negative impact on basically on barring camping and annual day use. I've talked about that just a little bit. The local residents, we have one addition that's in close proximity to that location called the Oakwood Addition. And constantly throughout the season, they complain about people being down there and shooting after hours, which I can tell you are probably not these duck hunters, not the ones that buy those blinds. What happens is we have other people that come in and that decide to shoot the rifles. So again, that just goes a little bit back to we're going to have to really revamp, if it's allowed, we're going to revamp our patrol structure on that and put a significant amount of money towards overtime is what I would recommend to the chief. We'll now have a lake attendant and a family residing in the park, and their family will live in that, or next to the retail store, which is the house, and that is 50 yards away from one blind and 100 yards away from the second. So, and there will be an attendant family that will be out there. At this point, they're going to have 2 kiddos out there, and so the shooting and things and stuff, it will affect the attendant at that point. Let's see here. The last thing that I would cover is that when I was in business and I was looking at things when I had my own business, when I was going to make a change like this, one of the biggest things that I looked at was momentum. If I'm building momentum in the direction that I want to go, do I want to change and make a change essentially and curtail the momentum? And what I mean by the momentum is that people are beginning to see now that the lake is a safe place again. We patrol it. They're allowed to come out there. They can swim. They can camp. And it's beginning to become regular. And we're seeing numerous people come out, and we're not having to do much enforcement as far as people really messing up. Duck hunting is always a shift in that momentum, because we have to curtail several of the activities out there, at least for the morning, and then we have to, of course, shut camping down completely. And our horse riders, our equestrian riders that we have coming out, I see them nearly every day, at least 2 trailers full, and they're different people each day. When that happens, they ride in the morning. They will not be able to come out for those months, and they do ride all year long. We have 2 groups that come up from Oklahoma City that are beginning to visit more and more. And so when I look at it, it's where we're going towards the master plan, the momentum, I believe, will be curtailed. It's like I said, with a heavy heart that I look at this, because I understand, at least from what they're telling me, how deep this sort of runs in a family basis, and how it's ingrained in our community, the duck hunting, among those people that like to do it. However, I believe that, like I said, we're at that tipping point that says that I just have to make the recommendation that we not. Is there any questions that you guys have for me? Hopefully I didn't take too long.
Have the duck owners or the duck blind people been informed way ahead that all this was coming down? I mean, has there been a meeting with them to inform them about it? Because I'm new to the board, so I'm asking questions I probably should know.
Sure. No one knew. Sorry.
It's in the ordinance.
As far as what I just told you, no one knew, other than the city manager. No one knew the decision that I was going to bring to you guys tonight, other than maybe my wife. Can't lie about that. So, but at any rate, other than that, waterfowl hunting dates are to be determined by the Guthrie Parks Board annually. That is in our ordinance. And this meeting is where that decision takes place. That's the purpose of this particular meeting, is for you guys to be able to hear both sides, not just my recommendation. Like I said, for the last 2 years, I've come in and say, hey, I think this is going to be a good deal. We can do this. If you guys decide to go ahead and allow it, we can do this. Well, like I said, we'll vamp up. We'll do that. Like I said, I just don't think we're at that tipping point. So sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
Are there other places in the world, United States, that there's somebody who stays at a lake and who lives there that have small children, that there's duck hunting there, and they somehow deal with it? I mean,
I would have to say, and then that'll probably be a question for him. He's probably going to be more knowledgeable on it, so I'll let him answer that when he gets up here. I'm sure there is, and one of our answers could be that we limit the number of blinds. Any blind that's within 100 yards of the home, we go ahead and say that those blinds are out of play. Unfortunately, those are the most popular blinds that we have, and they're easily accessible by vehicle. And we don't have a lot because everything that's on the west side is not accessible by vehicle. The city council has been very adamant about not opening up those trails for the reasons that I've said before in years past. It's just, they're very dangerous as far as the vehicles. We have allowed that to happen to where you can go down and take a vehicle down and set up a blind at the risk to your own vehicle. You know, we're not going to pull you out, we're not that kind of thing. So I'm sure there is. My encouragement would be yes. And like I said, we will deal with it. If the vote is yes, we will, like I said, probably remove some blinds, probably 3.
This is a question that I should probably know, but would have no reason to ask until now. When you shoot a rifle, how far does the bullet go?
No, these are shotguns, and these will be, and I don't mean to correct for the reason of correction. It's with bird shot and shooting the correct load out of the weapon, max effective range is 40 yards. It doesn't mean that the pellet won't travel farther, but max effective range for killing a duck is generally 40 yards. And again, if the load was more significant, if it was, there's different things that can happen. But again, most people adhere to that, and we've got a 40-yard issue. And the most that people complain in the Oakwood edition is, I have pellets that fall on me when I'm drinking my coffee, or something. So, and again, they're less, almost the size of a BB. And if you can think of somebody dropping a BB from a tree, it doesn't hurt anybody. It's just, it gets annoying. They hear it fall on the roof, and it scares. So.
And when is the family thinking of moving in?
Next week.
Next week? I just went to Liberty Lake. It doesn't look like it's, of course, I didn't see the inside of the place.
Yes. The outside is the last thing. We'll start on the siding Monday, I believe. And so that'll be a 2-3 day job, and then it'll be done.
So with the revenue, the 4,800, that's what it brings in from the blinds,
correct? Yes.
What do you expect to break even or lose if we have to increase the patrolling and the overtime, and then we also lose revenue from campers and other, the people who use the trails and stuff? Do you see there being a loss or just break even, or?
Hard to say. My thought is that our numbers it's going to be difficult to tell. Last year's numbers aren't a good projection for what this year's numbers are going to be. However, my thought is that we are going to basically break even. The money that we're going to bring in from duck hunting, we're going to use in overtime and lose in the other things. So we're going to basically break even on those. It's just the momentum aspect that bothers me at that point. So.
May I ask, when you quit having duck hunting, it had gone for 30 years. How long was it before you started back up, and how long has it started back up?
This will be our 3rd season to consider, and before that, I'm sorry, for 4, I thought it was 5, so 4 years.
I had one other question, and I'll have to look now. But this is a historical thing. My brothers have hunted there, my friends have hunted there, and my only question is that they haven't had time to find other places, and maybe we could take it out, I mean, you know, take it out a little at a time, or take out 3 and try it this year with them having a year to hunt for what they have. It's a history and a tradition that's been there a long time, and that's my only comment.
My question, as far as the blinds, are all of them facing where these people, the attendants will be living, and
No. All of them are facing away.
they're all facing
Yes.
away from that?
The only reason why the attendant was brought up is just the noise. That's
Okay.
the only concern with the attendant. Not, again, everything is more than 40 yards away from the house. So even if, you know, not that I would want to stand 50 yards away from somebody shooting at me with birdshot, because, I mean, it could do some damage, just not going to kill me. But the thing is that, again, we don't expect that type of problem. That's not, you know, somebody shooting the house or anything like that. So that's not something that has been seen even out of the rowdiest bunch. You know.
Yes, that's a lot of people.
I have a question. Remind me how many blinds there are?
Currently 12.
And if this passed, would it be pretty much mandatory that those 2 would be removed?
That
Or
would
would
be
that?
that would be the suggestion. 2 to 3, depending. I need to look at the map and we'll go over the. Well, no, just 2. Just 2. They are directly in the park area themselves. One, again, is about 40 yards. The other one is about 75. Those 2 being out, there'll still be one that's accessible, or could be accessible. I guess it wasn't last year. I won't know till tomorrow if we've got a little more budget to finish the gravel roadway. If we do, then it will be accessible by roadway. If not, then there'll be no accessible blinds by roadway. So they'll have to park in the park and then walk to them as they did last year. We would end up taking out the 2 that you can actually drive to.
And those are the ones that are the best.
Well, best, and again, best, there's several guys down here going, no, there's no way that the best. In fact, the way that it's set up, they aren't the best necessarily for duck hunting. They're the best for mobility. So if I'm you know, if I have trouble walking, bad back or something like that, then I can set up my blind, have my stool down there, and then I only have to walk 10 yards from my truck and sit.
One last question, is the time from 10:26 to 1:19 mandatory? Could it be shortened?
If we do it, we don't want to and again, those were just the numbers from last year, but we don't want to cut any time out of their season.
Okay.
We don't in any way want to do that. We want to continue, and these seasons are set by the state, not by.
Oh, okay.
not
That's what I
by us.
thought, but I wasn't sure. Thank you.
And federal as well. So the federal regulated comes by the state, so Office of Wildlife Management would come out and they'll do some checks as well. And so anyway, we generally have we've had an okay crew, other than the numbers or the things that I've listed there. Just the fence cutting does get annoying. but other than that, I think that was just 1-2 people max. They just kind of set a bad tone. So if no more questions, I will sit down, and then I'm sure there's some other people.
I just want to say that I have had phone calls. Apparently, you know, they found my name and number, and they were protesting. And I said, well, show up at our meetings, you know, state why you're, and it was again that they were hearing the shots. They makes them very uncomfortable. They have kids. And that, like I said, I've had several calls.
It's when it moves towards a sport lake, for instance, something like Arcadia, they can set up the blinds on one side of the lake, and then you can have camping on the other, and they have such a large expanse of water from one side to the other.
Right.
You don't have an issue. In fact, you can even deer hunt on one side, and that's a high-powered rifle, and that will travel a tremendous distance. But you've got the distance. We just don't. I'm sorry, archery, forgive me. There are some places, though, that do deer hunt off their lake, and again, they just got space. We don't, and so that's when we're looking at when we're looking at this particular thing. That's why at one point it was said we're going to have to stop and to continue with this. And I guess it's your guys' decision on when that happens. So anyway, sorry to put that burden on you. But
And
there we are.
the complaints that you're getting, Jean, are people that live at Lake Guthrie, right?
No.
These
they're
are
at
people that
Liberty.
live
No,
there.
there are people that live out at Liberty. You know, there's several homes out there.
Okay. Where are those homes? I didn't get to see them.
The
I saw
Oakwood- let
some
me-
on the road.
Let me bring a map up to you, and I can show you where Oakwood Edition is.
Okay. Because that would be the only place that they're,
The Oakwood Edition, currently, you can see how this is kind of, this is an overlay.
Yeah.
The Oakwood Edition, let me see here, right here. We have
where's
this,
north?
north is this direction.
Okay,
So our lake house is here.
okay.
You can have Forest Hills come over and up on Oakwood Drive. And
Okay.
Oakwood Drive comes in and makes a circle. So
Okay.
all of these residences in here border. So, yes, you've got 20 that border or that are close enough to get the noise. These in the center and on that side probably aren't affected nearly as much.
And where are the blinds?
The lines are all around, so we've got, and I can just kind of give you an idea, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
And where's the
So
house?
they go, and the
The
houses,
house is right here.
Okay.
So 1 and 2 are definitely, like I said,
there.
within those.
And then these right here are the ones that get closer to this addition.
Correct.
Okay.
And then, like I said, the 2 that's on, or at least the one that's on this side. It looks like a
Oh,
large
I
expanse
see.
of water across, but
But
it's
it's
really
not.
not.
So can people go into that addition and then walk to some of the blinds, like on those roads, or they have to go from all the way up
No, you
there?
can. There's an entrance from the addition
Oh,
where
okay.
you can park and kind of cut off some distance.
Okay.
How do you get to the addition? You said you go to Forest
Forest
Hills?
Forest Hills and Coltrane to the west,
Okay.
about 1/2 mile, and then north on Oakwood Drive.
Are you guys seeing this well enough?
Yeah, I do. You need to see the map.
Yeah,
I can leave that with you.
there,
I'll just,
that's all right.
Oh, okay.
It's only the
Blinds all the way.
Yeah. And Oakwood is where
I
here?
think
I think if there's no more questions for the Parks Board members, and Officer Gibbs, thank you. We're going to open this up for public discussion. If you would, please come up, state your name at the podium, and also you're going to have 5 minutes to talk. I will have a stopwatch up here. I'll give you a little sign, like 1 minute left. I'm not trying to be a jerk if I have to cut you off. But anyways, if you've signed your name already on the sign-in sheet, you're more than welcome to come up and state your, I guess, ideas. And also, if you would, please don't hit on the same topics over and over again, just so, if somebody already kind of states something, then, please go ahead and let,
Officer Gibbs got 30 minutes and I get 5.
that's the
10,
way it's,
15, 20, 25.
I
He
think we'll
works for the
have,
city.
And I'll talk for
Works
5
for the
minutes.
city,
That'll
so-
balance it.
so
That gives
if you
all
would,
30 minutes, how's that? Good point.
Can you
yeah,
state
if you
your
could
name?
state your name,
Hi,
please.
my name's Kenny Leonard.
Okay. Where do you live?
And I live in southern Logan County, and I've lived there for 35 years. I've been hunting at Liberty from back in the early 80s, whenever we first were able to start hunting out here. Started taking my son hunting. That's how he got initiated in duck hunting. We've hunted every year here that we've been able to, and really enjoyed it. I know a lot of these guys. I know that there have been some people that have broken rules before, but I think most of those people have kind of been culled out a little bit. I know a lot of the people that hunted last year. I don't know everyone, but I think the people I know were respectful of the rules. The thing that I keep hearing is all of these other activities. The lake is there for everybody. And all these other activities are kind of taking place, and we're kind of getting shoved out. So I mean, we're not getting our fair share, in my opinion. We hunt 2 or 3 months a year. Basically, mornings when I first started hunting out here, there were 22 blinds. we could hunt all day long through duck and goose season, and I don't ever remember any complaints from anybody. I know there probably weren't as many homes and stuff around, but I honestly don't know where these houses are. But I've hunted long enough. I know enough about how a shotgun works. If somebody's peppering a house, they're not coming from the lake probably because two reasons. Number one, we're shooting towards the water, and a shotgun doesn't carry that far. If somebody shoots behind a blind, there's too many trees that are going to stop anything from going very far. So I don't know where that that's coming from. I also know that there's not very many times that we've been out there hunting that we don't hear gunshots from other places aside from around the lake. There's other places that people are hunting around there, so it's not just us. And it's not like a constant barrage of gunshots. I mean, you know, the ducks, I don't know if any of you ever been duck hunting or not, but they don't just keep flying in one right after another, because if that was the case, we'd be out there 15 minutes and gone, or out of shells, one of the two. So, you know, I guess I don't understand. I mean, I understand that the progression that at some point in time, you know, with the development and stuff like that maybe at some point in time they'll have to abolish hunting on this lake. But I would hate to see that done prematurely. You know, as far as the two blinds up by the house, in my opinion, those are the two worst blinds.
Really? So you could live without?
I could live without those, and
two?
I can tell you too that in previous years there have been more blinds on the other side of the lake over towards the dam that aren't there now. Those could be replaced. I mean, move the ones up by the house over to the other side of the lake. That's a long ways. You can't shoot a shotgun far enough to hurt anybody over at the other side of the lake. And again, most shots are, you know, not at a real high angle, so that shot's not going to carry that far. You know, I guess my point is I would hate to see the duck hunting stopped because of a few people that just don't like it, that probably have never been duck hunting or never been hunting and understand how much fun it is. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been hunting since I was 6 years old, so that's a lot of years. And, you know, it's a convenience for me, and I think everybody here that hunts would be willing to compromise at some point, you know, to be able to continue hunting. Used to, the game warden, the Logan County game warden, patrolled the area. They had a city employee that patrolled the area. It wasn't the police that was having to do it. You know, I know the game warden in Logan County. You know, I'm sure he would be happy to probably help, you know, patrol the area. You know, I hope that you all will consider our side of it, and that, you know, we enjoy using the lake too. And I can't imagine a lot of people camping in the middle of December. It's kind of chilly.
Do you want me to ask that guy in the back if blinds could be moved over to the part that you say they used to be? Because when he just described it, it wasn't over in the area that you were talking about.
Yeah, I think there were two more blinds, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have been out here. There was a blind over on the northwest corner by the dam, and then there were a couple of more blinds down that west side of the lake before it kind of turns back towards the middle. And I think there may have been one blind still down there, but the one up by the dam was not there any longer.
We have 22 total.
22, and I have, I think at
If-
home, I have an actual map.
Of the way it was, yeah.
When me and Chuck
Yeah.
stepped, and we stepped them off,
Yeah.
and then on the backside there, in the corner, yeah,
Well-
there was 22 blinds. You could-
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Officer Gibbs, as far as shutting down specific blinds, is there a number that you could shut down that people would be okay with as far as the type of compromise from that end of it, or is it kind of just the two? I'm sorry to
If I can
interrupt you.
step up here with
Yep.
Kenny, because nobody at home can hear if I don't have a mic.
Yep.
The reason why the blinds were brought down to what they were a couple of reasons. they went ahead and polled several lakes and got distances for average distances, including talking to state on how far blinds should be away from the other to make them a little safer. So that curtailed a little bit of the numbers. Two is there was one up on the northwest corner was taken off because of the proximity to the roadway, meaning that people coming across the road and things were alarmed by seeing hunters, which, okay, that's some of that happened, but it did. One of the blinds was eliminated from or one or two were eliminated from the farthest south point because they were the absolute closest to Oakwood Edition, and there were several residents that showed up and said, could you please at least remove these two? And so that's why the numbers were done that way, and we put as many as we could in along the west side. And there's a possibility we could add one more now that I think about it over there, because now we're actually adding water to the lake over the winter. The year before last, it was so low, our shoreline was moved so much closer that we didn't have a cove. Basically, we lost one of our coves that is a pretty decent spot for duck hunting. So anyway, go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, I don't really have a whole lot more to say other than the fact that I would at least like, the use of the lake to be spread out and allow us to continue using it as long as possible. And, I mean, you see the people that showed up are the duck hunters, so if somebody's got some complaints, they must not be very serious about it, or they would be here, I would think, so.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Okay.
Hi, Carl Tipton. I live about 2 miles from Liberty Lake, about southwest. I'm an avid duck hunter. I'm very active in the DU, which is Ducks Unlimited, which is a wetlands conservation group, and all these guys are members as well, or as the guys I know, and very active. We spend a lot of money and a lot of time pursuing ducks. I'll try to address Officer Gibbs' points. I was just trying to make pretty quick notes. Regarding blind damage or any kind of fees, I know we would all be amenable to additional or cleanup deposits, something like that. There are ways to work around that. We've all hunted multiple other lakes where we're in close proximity to other things, or aesthetics are very important. So we understand that. We want to keep that lake pretty. We enjoy being there. So we'd be more than happy to find a way to do that. And if nothing else, it's a little more income. And anyway, I think Officer Gibbs pointed out that Arcadia is introducing duck hunting this year rather than taking it away, and it's because of the demand and having the opportunity and showing that you can share multiple uses on that lake. I also own horses. I also trail ride. I've spent a lot of time out there, a lot of mornings and a lot of days, and I rarely see riders out there. And one of the reasons we don't ride is because of the poorly marked trails. So if I was going to throw anything, even unrelated to duck hunting, I'd say, if you want more traffic out there, the horse people, you need to mark the trails. But I would also add, having lived in Logan County for quite a while, that there is constant gunfire and fireworks out there. So any of us that live out there, to say that gunfire is going to disturb any of these horses that reside in Logan County is a little far-fetched. My horses they rarely raise their head. They're out there grazing. It just doesn't bother them. And I've ridden around Fort Cobb. I've ridden around a lot of other lakes with my horses. I take my horses hunting. I go to Colorado. They're fine dealing with all that gunshot. Families and friends. I've taken several children out there under 15. My daughters hunt with me. They're now 21 and 25. But it's one of those experiences we very much cherish. And something we can do together. I'm an empty nester now, so it's nice to get them at home. Already talked about my home proximity. Mornings I'm not hunting. You can hear the gunshots, but they're not enough to disturb you. They're not going to wake you up, especially if you're in your house. Camping. I want to say 2 different weekends I saw horse trailers out there, and I did not ever see any campers. So I'm sure I'm not out there all the time. I don't patrol it, but that's just my anecdotal information. And in patrolling, I did not see any that lake patrolled, unless they were in a civilian car. And I've been out there several times, and just in my proximity, my house, and my access to I-35, I go by that lake quite a bit. And so my experience in hunting and being out there, I just don't see it. I know there's and Officer Gibbs addressed the future plans, and I understand that. I was very active in the Edmond Chamber of Commerce. I was the chairman of the chamber. I understand how you want to develop a city and you want to develop multiple use areas, but at the same time, you can find ways to accommodate all the different interests and make it a cherished location for everybody.
Okay.
I like that, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Bill Hayden, and I first started hunting out here in 1990. Raised two boys on Liberty Lake, and they were in junior high. They're grown, and we're empty nesters now. But took the grandson for the first time. He's 7. He didn't get to shoot, but he was a caller. He calls in the ducks for us, so he's learning how to do the calls, and he had a ball. So anyway, it's precious to us. And we mentioned there's only 12 blinds now, where there used to be 22. And we put 4 people per blind. So, 4 times, 22 blinds, that's 88 people. So I didn't hear, I'm hard of hearing, so not from hunting, it's from working on wells, gas wells. But I didn't hear what Officer Gibbs said on revenue, but I mentioned it the last time we had the discussion with the other Parks Board. You're sitting on a gold mine. Let's kick it up a notch. Let's pay $1,000 a blind. So you got 4 people and you divide it by $1,000. So you're looking at a little over $200 a piece. So now we got 22 blinds times 1,000. You're looking at $22,000 worth of revenue coming in. And if you want to expand it a little bit, go ahead and open on the east side in the woods area, open that area up to bow hunting for deer. And then you generate additional revenue. So you can make this thing work. The other thing is, as I mentioned, Arcadia is getting ready to start a program for duck hunters. You also have Thunderbird, Overholcher, several of the other cities, lakes in the Metroplex. Also Lake Hiwassee, which is south of Arcadia. People live at Hiwassee, and it's a duck hunting lake. And people live there, people boat there, people swim there. So for every argument Mr. Gibbs can give, I can give you a counter art. And I understand, duck hunting is precious to me. I used to deer hunt, do them all, but primarily I duck hunt now. The other reason is it's kind of like quail hunting. I love to watch the dogs work. And there's nothing greater than watching a retriever. So, and if we get to duck hunt, I invite you to come out and join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question, Wanda.
Wanda?
I think, did you have a chance to sign in? Maxine, am I allowed to?
You can allow it.
Okay, I'll allow it.
I'll make it real short.
Okay.
Just give your name
Yes,
and where
name,
you
please.
live, please.
My name's Adam McDiffit. I live right south of the lake in the Hidden Oaks Edition. So this lake is very dear to me. I actually built my house in that addition just because of the waterfowl hunting at Liberty Lake. An aspect these guys haven't hit on, they're making great points and everything, but my life had been a whole different path without waterfowl hunting. I was a troubled youth until old man grabbed me up and said, let's go hunting. I'm going to teach you the real ways. A lot of my life lessons were learned out of duck blind. I had Bill's son out with us, or grandson out with us last year. I think we had 14 kids go through a blind, trying to impact their lives. That's what duck hunting's about. That's why we need to keep it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wanda, some of these gentlemen might know, are the blinds, they're open from 6 till noon? Is it all the same? I mean, you have it during that whole time. How are they given out to the hunters? Or if somebody leaves early, does somebody else come in during that time? How does that work?
Would you please come up to the mic? Sorry, that way everybody can hear you at home.
The shooting hours are actually 30 minutes before sunrise.
Right.
And 30 minutes after sundown.
Right.
Okay,
Just
so
sunset.
legally, we can hunt all day. but-
Right, but I knew that they had limited hours, but I was just
Six-
wondering for the blinds that have 4 people in each, you know, how do you determine who gets the blinds and how long
okay.
they have them?
We have a drawing here with
Okay,
you all.
like a
and-
lottery, okay.
And then we put our names in, and they draw our names, and most of us hunt with 4. And so, like if I came in and I didn't have 4, I put my name in and you draw it, then I get a blind and I pay you.
Okay,
So if
Perfect.
it's $1,000, it'd be a hard hit for one person.
thank you.
Thank you.
But it is a revenue maker.
Are the blinds built or do you have to build them?
We build them.
That's what I thought.
And then we take most of them, we put cedar on them. Mm-hmm. We put them, cover them with wire, like fencing, and then we put old cedar down, cut cedar, and put it down in and camouflage it. And then some of them, are what you might call kind of poor boy, but then some of them are pretty fancy. So it depends on, how energetic the hunters are. But, you can cook breakfast, you can have coffee. So,
My brother loved it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Most of you know me. My name is Paul Fincher. I'm on the board of directors at Ducks Unlimited for Oklahoma. And Carl there, he is one of our companions, and Kenny. The Liberty Lake has been a lifelong deal with me. My daughter's 34 years old, and I've been hunting that lake since then, except for when you closed it, which the 22 blinds that you have there, last year the lake was really low, and to gain access to the backside, which I had a point blind, you really couldn't get there because the roads are so bad. And if you remember from the notes, I had a couple of people that had Caterpillars that would agree to go in there and fix the roads, but it never happened because by the time we had it delayed in the drawing and et cetera, that didn't happen. The roads there are not real good, and as far as the equestrian people doing the horses, I have some of my dear friends like Dr. Muse. He used to come there and ride his horses, but he doesn't do that anymore because of the roads, and you take a high dollar horse out there, you don't $50,000 horse. Would you think that's, I'm probably telling you a story, but she has horses more than that. So anyway, what I'm saying, we need to try to work together as a tradition here and get the council to take a look at the total volume that we could produce there and reinstate about probably 10 blinds and move the structure around a little bit. And you could have fishing over there by the dam and stuff still. You wouldn't have to stop all the fishing there, just as long as they didn't take a boat out there. After 12 o'clock they could. The other thing that I think that we could do in areas that it's like Chandler and Perry and all of those city links, they have a little convenience store like you're going to do out there, right? Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, you don't really need to have a patrol paying overtime out there when you have a phone that's usable and you have a person manning that convenience store. You don't need to do that. The Oklahoma Department of Wildlife, they have 3 new officers here, and they would be glad to come and check those people to make sure that they're legal and everything. And that really is besides the point, because once you buy your federal duck stamp and your state stamp and all that stuff, the duck hunters that we have here, and I know every one of them in this room, and being out there, they ain't gonna violate that. They don't want that, you know? And as far as, we don't allow 10 gauges out there, 10 gauge shotguns, you know, so you shouldn't have to worry about the pellets, you know, the 40 yards of knockdown power is there, but past 50 is probably not, you know, accessible or going to be able to hit the other guy across the lake with it, because we don't allow 10 gauges. 10 gauges with 3.5-inch shells, you could do 70 yards.
Okay.
Anyway.
I do want to say that they are working. The plans that we were talking about for Liberty, they're stages, and the paths for the horses will be getting better. The paths for everything will be getting better. It's in the plans. We may not be as fast as we thought, but it's getting better.
Right. Yeah, I've
There's
watched
hope.
it. I've watched it from an aerial photo, you know, for the last 3 months. And we have a friend that we've been taking aerial photos, and we go over that quite a bit. The thing I would like to say is, you know, if you would, in some of the smaller communities like Chandler and stuff like that, they have a duck hunter's deal, a meal and a benefit thing to raise money for like their individual lakes. And we could do that here. We could do it here in Guthrie and rent the fairgrounds and have a deal, and we could put it on. We could get to do a festival if you wanted to. People come, donate stuff, and you'd be amazed how you could get people to come in there and volunteer their time with the dozers and stuff.
Well, and the state could support that, the Ducks Unlimited. They have all kinds of
Right. There's grants.
events,
for that,
yes.
through WHIP and NACA and through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service did give a grant to Liberty Lake
2 years ago.
12 years ago,
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
That's where we got the dock and the parking there.
Right. But before that, I'm talking, they
Yes,
gave
I think there was one earlier. I'm not
Yeah.
sure exactly when that was, but I
when
think there was.
John T. Aldridge, my friend, he's retired now for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I talked him into doing that when Farrell Copeland was still alive, so, and I know a little bit about history of Liberty. But I hope you overturn this and try to let us continue the tradition. And we can work together. I mean, the duck hunters are common people, so thank you.
Great, thank you.
I think we have to vote, but all of these ideas could be brought up to a special meeting, couldn't we, Zach?
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions for Wanda. She might be able to answer, possibly.
I'm not one.
You know-
I'm Maxine.
Or Maxine, sorry. It's been a while.
Wanda's
Maxine.
Wanda's gone.
Yeah, I know, sorry. You know, all these gentlemen have mentioned about helping with stuff out there. How is that as far as liability or with the city property? I mean, if you do have a
Like
day.
any other volunteer.
Okay. So, I mean, if we
We-
could,
We have volunteers at the library. We have volunteers that help in other, you all are volunteers.
right, oh, but I'm saying, I mean, with
So-
people with bulldozers and things,
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
you want some type of watching over to make sure they're not taking out something that shouldn't be taken out, you know
Well,
what I mean?
yes,
So,
yes, we would have someone but sure, we'd be glad to work with them.
okay.
Well, I think last time, I believe the gentleman that was just up there, he said, we'll come in, we'll do that. Did you do anything? Did anybody ever approach you to do anything?
Sure they didn't.
If you, I'm sorry, if you would, the microphone. Thank you.
I actually had 2 volunteers that were going to come in there and do that, and
I
I
remember you saying that.
tried to get permission to come over there and do that. I don't know who did the bulldozer or knocked something down, but it wasn't my 2 people that would be glad to do it. And worrying about the liability, those people that have the dozers, they are professional dozer people, and they have their own insurance, own liability. That's what I do for a living. I'm a mediator at Mercury Insurance, so,
Perfect.
anyway,
Thank you.
thank you.
So you all would be willing to form some sort of a committee, maybe and work with someone at the city, Maxine? Couldn't we do that? Someone from the Fair Board?
Sure.
Okay.
But I get the feeling from Officer Gibbs, which I think he is mostly the guy in charge over there, that it just seems like it's putting more on his plate of trying to get Liberty to where it's more accessible to everybody. And that's the feeling I'm getting. Because last time he really was like, no, it's fine, duck hunters are okay.
I think
know
he's
there's
feeling
so much going
overwhelmed
on.
right now.
There's so much going on, right. And eventually, it's like the times they are changing, and it's sad, I hate to see it, but maybe we've reached that point.
And of course, that's up to you as the
Right,
board.
and everybody will vote what,
But-
what they feel.
I feel like Officer Gibbs is, he's just trying to stay within the lines and guidelines of plan, and he's thinking ahead. And like you said, he's the one out there seeing what's going on. But, it's public, and it's whatever you decide. I know the duck hunters have been very responsible. I don't think that they cause any problems. And really and truly, it's definitely up to you all, what you all see fit to send to council, and we will go from there.
Need to make a motion.
Yeah.
Well, I make a motion that we close 2 of the blinds that are closest to the house and try to keep one of them open for handicap usage and give someone who might be handicapped first priority over that blind, because he said there were 3 in that area. But close the 2 closest to the house and try to get that third one, the road out to it like he was talking about, so that somebody who is handicapped might be able to use that and continue hunting. And then to increase the blind fees from $400 to $700, and that we try to form a workshop with some of these gentlemen that are here and try to get as much usage out of them to increase. And I'd like to look at the master plan as well before next year and figure out some areas that would fit into the master plan where we can continue the tradition of duck hunting in this area. So, it may not be 12 blinds, but at least keep that out there where, these traditions can keep going.
Can we even do that? Because one of it is built in, the $400. I think we'd have to have a.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
before city council.
It will
probably.
have to go before city council,
Okay,
yes.
well, that's my
But
motion.
this part, we can do. I mean, if we vote to
Yes.
keep it,
Yeah,
then,
okay.
Keep it up.
okay.
And that we, maybe contact the Department of Wildlife and see if they can
I've got
help in the patrol during that time.
Follow up on all the suggestions that have
Yes,
been made.
yes.
Yeah. Good idea.
for a vote.
Okay, do I hear a second for that?
Second?
Okay. We will call for a vote. Or, Maxine, are we doing this thing, or are we calling?
No,
Okay.
just call each name.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
yes,
before-
do we wanna
because what you're
clarify-
saying is
clarify the motion?
We'll keep it open for another season,
Correct.
Yep.
go to council to raise the fee, but keep it open and close 2 blinds.
Closest to the house.
To the
that'll be
house.
Occupied,
I
yes.
think I would rather, instead of closing them, can't we close one and move the other?
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, if these gentlemen, and we can get help to move some of those and we can find locations, I'm okay if you want to change that, or if I need to redo my motion, let me know.
Just add,
Moving the 2 blinds, close proximity to the house to another location on
Change
the
it from
lake.
closing 2 blinds to moving 2
So
blinds.
we'd still have 12 open.
Still have
Yeah.
12 open, yes.
Yes,
Right,
Yes,
I like that.
yeah.
good idea.
Okay, okay. Do we have to second
Okay,
it again?
yes, we had a second on the motion
Yes.
from Mary Beth. Okay, all in favor of Ben's motion, please say aye.
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 So it's
All in,
All-
I'm not,
all not in favor. It was-
okay.
So it was a unanimous,
The motion carries.
the motion carries.
A good example of working together, and I think that's great. Thank all of you for being here, too.
But I would like for you guys to seriously get with the city or something. I mean, if we could form a workshop or get something together to try to help and figure out how we can keep things going up the
Yeah, that
lake.
way we don't,
Thanks.
How would we start
Thank you,
that?
Bill.
We need to maybe name someone from the park committee to work with them, or Maxine, what would you suggest?
Where are we now? Are we on
Well,
number
this-
4?
Well, basically, we passed it. We're just want to go ahead and make sure we get this committee going and the,
Or just get some of these people, maybe it's up to them to form somebody to try to, do a fundraiser or get a group
Exactly.
together and start working with
some-
us.
something where we can kind of progress with this, where we're not back in the same exact spot
Right,
next
right,
year.
exactly.
and Everybody, so maybe if,
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Would you guys,
well, it's, hold on,
Oh,
real.
sorry.
This is, we've already closed the voting, so I guess we need to,
We need to follow the agenda and then we can talk. Thank you.
okay.
Sorry.
okay.
Item
So
number 3.
item number 3 is the staff report.
I have no report.
Okay.
So item number 4.
And item number 4 is adjournment.
All right.
Thank you.
Sorry.
This is again.
Okay.
We are adjourned.